So over the last few days, I've been slowly painting the cage, and it's pretty well done. There's probably a few spots I've got to come back in and touch up. Now, again, I've decided to go with this blue. Number of reasons. First of all, it's a textured coat. It doesn't come up real well on camera, but you can sort of see a texture coat on it, which means that I can sort of come through and touch up bits and pieces. Yeah, different ways of spraying it on give different finishes. It actually matches the body color kinda similarly, which meant that I could just go absolutely ham with it and get overspray everywhere. Problem with that is now I've got overspray everywhere that I've got to clean up. But anyway, this is what I went with. It's the Dulux hammered finish, which was good because I was pretty hammered when I put it on. As I said, now getting up against the windscreen is difficult. If I ever take the windscreen out, I'll be able to paint it better. But I've gotten in there pretty well. You can see the texture's a bit different on there, and it's always going to be like that. But I just sprayed it on some paper towel and just sort of dabbed it down there. You can do it with a brush, but it leaves streaks with this kind of paint. But it's on. I did the seat rails as well. But yeah, like I said, the whole car basically now has this powdery residue all in it. It's probably on the outside of the car as well. It's definitely on the windscreen and the glass, but I will acetone all the windows, and yeah, probably just leave it in the bottom of the car because I don't really care. Your level of care might be higher, in which case you might want to mask up a little bit better. But anything that I've ruined in here, apart from my nice new shifter, which that comes clean nice and easy because it's, you know, because it's awesome. But anything like the handbrake that's got paint on it, I could just replace it. I've got like 4 of everything, so I don't really care. Now this stuff can go back in. I trimmed up a new dash, so as you can see, I've got parts everywhere. Now somewhere around here, yep, there they are. I remember saying I cut the pieces out of the dash that I fit up, and that was the hole there that it was. So I just sort of overlaid that on the other dash, lined up that hole with my hole saw, and I got a nicer fit up on it. So it's just got that little tiny hole there, and it fits up really nicely. I'll show you that when I put it in. All right, so before I put this dash back in, I need to make up some way of sort of attaching it back together in the middle. So I've got some more of this Titanic back door steel, and I just going to dress it up a little bit. A little piece will go down the bottom here, bigger piece will go up the top, and I've got some black bolts, and they'll go through and clamp it together, top and bottom, and then the insert panels will sort of do a bit of holding as well. So I'll get these marked up. They're not much, I just sort of cut them out. No one's ever going to see them. I don't care what they look like, I just want it to be done fast. So I'll drill some holes in these exactly where they need to land, and I'll give them maybe a spritz with some black paint, just so they're not, I mean, I do care a little bit, I don't want to be this shitty. And we'll get this dash in. we are back. It's still a mess. And Jesus, is that what I look like? Christ, whatever. So parts have rolled in following my braking video from whenever that was. I went with a 3/4 master on the front. Like I said, I ended up going into that more advanced calculator. There's a couple of measurements that I didn't know I had to fudge: center of gravity, coefficient of friction of the tires, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference on this thing. So it said I wanted a 0.62 front master, which is available, but it's a bit lower fluid capacity, and it was getting close to the amount of fluid required. So the amount of fluid the master cylinder puts out and the amount of fluid the caliper requires, I like to keep it about half so that I've got plenty of extra fluid available if I get like knockback or something like that. So I went with the 0.75. I sort of decided to sacrifice a little bit of extra pedal pressure for a little bit more fluid, just for a bit of safety. On the rear, I've gone with a 1.12. Now, it actually recommended something crazy like a 1.6. Now, you can get up to a 1.5. They are available. It's a rare size. 1.12 is a lot more common, and I thought I'd go with a more common size, just because it's easy to get a hold of. It's, if I do decide to change it out later, it's something that I can sell, whereas no one's going to buy a 1.5. So the other part of this system is obviously how you're going to mount these masters, because they don't work with the factory gear. Now, I was going to run the factory pedals and this factory transfer bar, whatever the hell you'd call it, and then I was just going to remove the factory master and booster, make a bracket up in there that holds the two masters, and put a balance bar in there. Now, a balance bar is something that's not easy for me to make. I'd have to buy one. They're about $150. They're not a cheap thing, but the angle of the firewall, the angle I'd have to put the masters on, I'd have to use remote res ones, because the reservoirs would be on an angle like that, so you'd need to sort of mount them out here somewhere. It's sort of a lot of work, and probably have to reinforce the firewall and such once I remove this. And then I found a unit that basically was a 4-bolt unit, the same as most boosters. Probably not this booster, but it would be a similar bolt pattern to this booster, and I could make it work. And it held dual masters, had a bias bar in it, so there's no engineering, no chance of it binding. It would work perfectly. I just have to bolt it all up, maybe remount some holes. Again, I'd still have to remote mount my reservoirs so that they're level, but it solved a lot of my issues. Now, it was like $400, which is a lot, but obviously it comes with a bias bar, so it's an extra $250 odd maybe. Still a lot of money. Maybe not a lot of money for most people, but for a build like this, it was a lot of money. But it solved a lot of my issues, and it being a safety thing, I kind of felt it was maybe worth it. And I had it in my inbox for ages. My shopping cart for ages, and it's basically what I was planning on using. And when I went to buy all this gear, I was shopping around for masters, and I ran across this unit. Now, this unit is it's actually a Kenco unit, which is a sprint car manufacturer part. Now, I never thought I'd own a pedal box. This isn't a full pedal box, but whatever. I always wanted one, but they're like really, really expensive. Now, this one's cheap. It's a cast unit, and it's a bit, how you going? But it works, and it's sturdy, and it's fine, and it solves a lot of my issues. So it's already got the bias bar in it. It was only $300. It was actually cheaper than the thing that bolts on the firewall, and it solves my pedal issue. So these are a terrible design. They're very close together, and like I was going to have to bend this and move it over anyway. Then it's sort of a weird thing. I don't heel toe anyway, but it's kind of a weird transition. So this always needed a lot of work. This, solves all my engineering issues. It solves my pedal ratio. This is a 5-to-1 ratio instead of the 3.6-to-1 ratio of that. So it lowers my brake pressures. And it was cheaper than what I was going to buy. All I need to do is find a way to bolt that fella up there somewhere. So I've got options. There's a fair bit of structure up here which is strong. I've got my roll cage, but I probably won't bolt it to that just for scrutineering purposes. They don't like things attached to the roll cage, so I'll probably mount it to the dash bar somehow. I'll have to modify that, and I'll make it sort of bolt on, bolt off. I'll make some sort of a other bracket. Once I get this gear out of the way, it'll help me. However, the braking system is kind of a all-in kind of thing. It's not something that I can do in stages. It's once you start on it, you're full committed, and there's quite a bit to it. So yeah, there's mounting the pedal box, running new brake lines, and then setting it all up. So there's a lot of work to it. So I will hold off on that for a second. It'll probably be coming up very soon though. But the other thing that came in that I needed was probably the last thing to start the car, get it running on its factory ECU in its current form, and it's a 2-bolt flange. So as you know, I've got this decat pipe, which has got this weird thing on it, and then I've got this old exhaust, which has got a different weird thing on it, and they don't play very well together. So 2-bolt flange it is. Now I was going to put a nice stainless one on here with a nice TIG weld, because this is a piece that once I'm done with it, like the exhaust is temporary, once I'm done with this I could sell it on to someone, but then I realized that I don't really care, so I just got a mild steel one, and I'll TIG it on here so that it's not, like I want it to be nice, not like the rest of my shit, but so I'll TIG it on there so that it's still usable to someone, but it won't have a stainless flange on it. This thing here it's going in the bin when I'm done, but I can always cut the flange off if I want to save $15. Alright, so I jumped under the car, cleaned these flanges and everything up, but I've marked the orientation of where everything goes. So I've got lines on here that match up with lines on there. I've got this one set up where it needs to go. Throw a few tacks on it, flip over, weld it fully, and then TIG weld this one. And if you're wondering why that exhaust is temporary, I knew it had rust in it, but like that's ridiculous. So it's maybe more temporary than I thought, but it'll work for today. So let's get to welding. That went about as well as can be expected for me. So it started off all right. You can see where I was starting and stopping. But then I ran into some dramas where I think I just didn't clean the material well enough, and I had troubles getting it to flow in. And then I had real troubles trying to get the end of the torch in there. It's a bit how you're going, but you know, it is what it is. You may have concerns about welding dissimilar metals, and I would too if it was a pressure cylinder or a bridge, but it's an exhaust on a Peugeot, like it'll be fine. So let's get that in there, see if we can get this thing running, because I got other things I need to do this afternoon. Let's do it. All right, predictably I'm having some issues with this thing. Peugeot electronics are known for being troublesome. So I'll run through a couple of things that are happening here. Let me just give it some juice. I believe I've actually got the wrong BSI plugged in here. BSI is like your body main power distribution block. Funnily enough, the body control module is the one in the engine bay. But BSI has a lot to do with your immobilizer, and these things in immobilizers are interesting. But I believe this is off my old car. I believe this is the one off this car. I thought maybe I had them the wrong way around, so I swapped them over. Didn't make a difference. Last time I had this drummer, I swapped over this BSI with the matching ECU and matching key barrel, and it was fine. And then I swapped it all back, and it worked with that one again, but no such luck this time. So if we turn the key on, I'm not getting the chimes, which is basically a huge red flag. When you first power these things up, you should hear a chime from this thing, and there's just no chime. Should be bonging at me now. And this fella here is really, really dull, so I'll show you how to fix that really quickly. And it says brake fluid low, nothing, and then it comes up with, there it goes, engine immobilizer fault. And for some reason this BSI also does that constantly. Do not know why. So that's rubbish. Now these are a old school backlit LCD display, so those little guys there just pop out of there. They're just a quarter turn thing, and the bulbs in there will be fried. So I'll grab some new bulbs, whack it in there so I can read that display. I'll swap the BSI over, and we'll have another guy cranking, but I doubt we're going to do any good. Alright, I'm back. Found another earth that wasn't plugged in, so I plugged that in. These bulbs down here. Sorry, let me put my drink down. Yeah, they float around in my parts bin, so they could be broken or not. But like I said, quarter turn on those holders, pull them out, and then there's a T5 wedge bulb in there. Any T5 wedge, LED or incandescent, doesn't matter. That's one of them there in the ashtray light. So you just grab that with a pair of pliers gently, because it's glass, and pop it out of there and put a new one in. They're non-polarity, so it doesn't matter which way they go. If you get LEDs, they are positive, negative. So if you put an LED in and it doesn't work, take it out, spin it around, put it back in. There's another earth there, but I don't know if that one needs to be plugged in or not. That's for the airbags. I might plug them in and just see. But anyway, so I have my chimes, which is a good start. I don't have my doo-doo-doo, but I think that's because my door isn't plugged in. As you can see, my screen is bright now. My engine immobilizer fault is gone. I do still have a stop light over here, which is not good. It could just be low oil pressure. Generally it is not, but yeah, if you can see the engine out through that hole there, and you can see it's also like turning over very, very roughly. So it's extremely unhappy. That's basically the reason that I'm scrapping all of this stuff, because I can't have undiagnosable electronic issues. I need a reliable car. If I can't get it started and I miss a round or a race, that's points that are left on the table. So these things here, if you even just with the battery isolator, if you spike these things, they can lose all memory, which is possibly what's happened to this. It doesn't know who it is. To clarify, the immobilizer is written in the ECU. The coding is there, but you've got to make basically this guy happy, and then the ECU will fire the injectors. So this is the guy who sort of tells the ECU that the immobilizer is happy. You can write the immobilizer out of the ECU. It's rare to try and find someone who can do it, and it's risky because it can not work. You can get guys that can clone these too, and rewrite basically your software onto them, but again, very, very rare. Yeah, and you can't really just change this anymore. Like, I've got that one, I can't just plug that one in. I need to plug that one in, and it's matching key and it's matching ECU. I need to match everything, and it's getting harder and harder to do because you basically need a whole car to make another car go. So you need to like kill a car to save a car, essentially. So I don't need that. I don't want that. I'm sick of it. I've been sick of it for years, so that's the reason that I'm going ECU, is just for the reliability. But I'm probably going to play with this a little bit more just to see if I can get it going, because it's going to make installing the ECU and starting the car so much easier. But if I can't, I can't. I've got other things rolling in which I need to get onto. That should be my brake line. These obviously are my harness mounting plates. You can make these, they're just 3mm plate with a nut welded onto them because they go under the car. You don't want to have to like reach through and then come underneath, and you know, that's a 2-person job. So these ones are actually OMP ones. They're FIA specs. They're a little bit bigger than Motorsport Australia spec, and instead of being a nut, it's actually like a threaded machined boss, which is just a little bit less prone to distortion with weld, even though the plate itself distorted quite badly, and it's just a little bit better. I get these basically because they're, you know, because of that boss and because they're electroplated, they're less prone to rusting, as opposed to making my own. And M10 high tensile nuts probably would set me back maybe $15 anyway for good quality ones, and these are about $12 a plate, so it is more expensive, but just for the like lifespan of these versus the ones I make my own, just because they're less prone to rusting, and the fact that I don't have to make them. I probably should make them. It's a budget channel, but safety systems I don't mind spending a few extra bucks on. I will also be sandwiching the very thin sheet metal of the floor, so they'll go underneath and I'll have another plate on top, and I'll just sort of tack them in place so they're rigid. So I can move on to that. I can move on to the brakes. I will do that. But I will be away for a while. We're going to Japan for a few weeks. I don't know if I'll film anything when I'm there. I will be taking a tour to Daikoku in, I can't remember what it is. I think it's a GTR. I'm not 100% sure anymore. It was a long time ago and I booked it. I may or may not film it. If you guys are, you know, you're on YouTube, obviously you've seen it. It's been posted many times. Same thing as, you know, World Time Attack. I don't film that because the internet just gets bombarded with that garbage. So you may not get a video, you may get a short video of just my time over there and things that I see. I'm not 100% yet. Yeah, but anyway, if I don't film anything, if I don't post anything, I'll probably see you guys in about 4 weeks. So I'm going to screw with this a little bit more, and then I'm going to go and have dinner. You guys stay beautiful. Me again. Sorry if you're expecting someone else, but don't know why you would be. But anyway, plug the fuel pump in. I don't know why it was unplugged. I don't know why I didn't notice it not priming. But yeah,